So I'm Christophe Le Tourneau. I'm a medical oncologist working at Gustave Roussy in France, and I'm lead there the National Precision Medicine for Oncology Center. The biggest challenge we have is that there are drugs that are not available in our countries, in our centers to treat our patients. One example of these drugs are the tissue-agnostic drugs, so meaning drugs that have been approved in the US based only on molecular alteration, independent of the cancer type. And there are 9 drugs approved by the FDA, only 3 drugs are approved by Europe, and very few actually countries have access to these drugs because of the regulation. The biggest challenge we have is how to bring these drugs to our patients in Europe. So what we're planning to do in this joint action is to see how countries deal with that, whether some of these drugs have been approved in some of the European countries, and to see how they managed to get approved. And once we have mapped all that across the countries, what we want to do is to implement a strategy and to go to Europe and to try to change how these tissue-agnostic drugs, independent of a cancer type, can be approved more quickly and across countries in Europe. So the access to tissue-agnostic drugs is closely linked to the access to sequencing, to molecular profiling. So on one part, we want to have access to these drugs, but on the other part, we want all patients in Europe to have access to molecular profiling. This is also part of the joint action, but one without the other doesn't make sense. So one success for me for the joint action would be to have access to these tissue-agnostic drugs in all European countries by the end of the project.